well, ostensibly there are humans. I don't know if there are any humans, but hello all. Let's see what that is. Oh, okay. You know what? That's good enough. I was gonna, yeah, this is good enough. Because I'm just cooking, so just the blank screen is fine. Oh, Leah says, made it. Yes. Good day to you all. I'm just here chatting y'all up while I do my meal prep. Oh. Okay. Well, I can drain this, but there's really no need. Just water. Hey, people who are just arriving, you're in the right place. Just doing our meal prep. Sitting here, oh, I'm so sorry you have COVID, Daddy Ann. I've had it myself. It wasn't fun. Oh, since you all are here on live, I'll give you a little sneak peek. So this whole conversation around Ozempic and Roe and everything, it just hit me this morning. I was showering, minding my business. I said to myself, you know what's interesting? 5 years ago, no, well, if you just talk about the vaccine, 4 years ago, people were talking about how they didn't want to get a shot. They didn't want to get a shot because they didn't know what was in it. Fair enough. And they hadn't seen the long-term consequences. They didn't want to get one shot because they didn't know what was in it and they didn't know the long-term consequences. But now they have a shot that you don't just take once, you take it a whole bunch of times. People have no idea what the long-term consequences are. And what they've seen of the short and intermediate term consequences are not great. And people were talking about they didn't want to get the vaccine because, oh my God, they were afraid it was going to make them feel sick. People are lining up and paying $1,000 a month for something they know is going to make them feel sick. And they can't keep it in stock. It's really not about the shot. It's not about the vaccine. It's not about Ozempic or Roe or Mounjaro or Wegovy. It's about what people think they're going to get. Because the truth is, people couldn't care less about their fellow man. They couldn't care less about other people's health, safety. They didn't care about getting out their house. What they cared about was their own comfort level, which, you know, is your body, your choice. But I just think it's funny how people have put weight in this high place. They put it in the place of honor. They don't care what happens to their body in 10 years, as long as they look good today. So that was just something I was thinking about. And because y'all came to live, you got to hear that firsthand. Because I was just like, it's funny. Because people, I mean, that was just like 5 seconds ago. I feel like in this country, people don't have a short-term memory. But people are like, oh my God, I'm not taking this. They just invented it the other day. They don't know what's in it. And I'm like, this is different from Ozempic. How? I was like, at least with the vaccine, the side effects were a maybe. You're taking something you know. The whole purpose of it is to make you feel sick so you don't eat. And people, I mean, they can't keep it in stock. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter if they charge $1,000. It doesn't matter if they restrict usage. You know, they restrict who can get a prescription for it. It doesn't matter what they do. It seems like every day they either invent a new GLP-1 or they come up with some kind of alternative because more and more and more people want access to it. And I'm not going to tell y'all my super secret sauce thoughts because y'all aren't even ready for that. I'll just have to put that on the Patreon or in the subscription group because, oh my goodness. If I tell y'all that, you're going to fall out wiggling. You're going to be like, girl, 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 girl. You're so right, Dust. Yeah, what the vaccine wasn't even released last minute. They were just able to get it past the usual red tape due to the pandemic. Like I always say, everything in this country is about money. Everything in the world really is about money. So, yeah. If anything, and I truly, I don't want anybody to think I sat in judgment of anybody for being suspicious. Because suspicion is good, suspicion is healthy, especially in this country. But at the same time, I'm like, y'all only want to be suspicious about certain things. Because if it was just about you care about what you're putting in your body overall, why are y'all queuing up to get multiple shots of who knows what in your arm because you think it's going to help you lose weight? Oh, Perez, you're very kind. She says, I quick TikTok, but I missed your video so much. I never did STEM. Gabby P? What made me never pursue a STEM degree? I don't like math. Yes, I am going to watch the reunion on Monday. Yes, if only to see how Peacock addresses the issues of racism that have run rampant, not only during the show, but in the aftermath, because they did absolutely nothing as the finale was airing. And all those racist incidents with BuzzFeed and, Landria's page getting broken into, all those things happened before the finale, and they did zero. They said nothing, even though they had that little weak ass, oh, no bullying, no hatred promo. I'm good. You can't villain edit reality. One thing about it. Malik says, I hope they don't villain edit Alandria again. The thing is, first of all, my dear twin says all the time, everybody loves a winner. Everybody loves a winner. And the reason they do these reunions so far out, which is actually further out, I think, than Love is Blind or any of the other shows on Netflix, is to see which way the wind is blowing. They want to know who the winner is so they can line up with the winning team. And I mean, I think Nicolandria and the brand collabs with NYX and the Water People, that's just the beginning. They see who the fan favorites are, and they see who, has come out of this thing smelling like a rose. And it's not going to benefit them or their bottom line to try and talk negatively about them. Yes, I am happy she's getting the brand deals and love she deserves as well, Kelp. Devonda, and that's the thing, it doesn't even matter. I wonder why people don't apply the same logic that they apply to American Eagle. So Devonda said they're now attacking Alandria's brand deals. That lady stands are, they're crazy and weird. First of all, in the world of PR, all attention is good attention. So when people were saying, oh my God, American Eagle's gonna fall off so hard because of that horrible eugenics jeans ad, people are like, oh, their stock went up and they're trending because everybody's talking about how bad they don't like it, and y'all are just silly to keep raising their profile by talking about it. It's the same deal. Like, those companies knew what they were getting when they got Nick and Landria. They have the internet too. They have seen the hatred, they have seen the attacks, and they chose who they wanted to collaborate with, and they knew that even if people were hateful, which they were going to be, they were just going to receive more views, more attention, and that's exactly what's happened. Auntie C says, no one really says anything about Amaya now. Alandria's the real winner. I already said that was going to happen. I said Amaya was going to fall off super quickly, and behold. Because it was just a not Alandria or Shelly pick. That's it. That's all that was about. I'm very upset, but I don't think... I mean, listen, I'm so happy for her. I'm glad her NYX combo sold out. But it doesn't really matter, guys, because she was wearing what NYX already had before she made a NYX combo. So it's okay. We can use this stuff they already had. better get that good cinnamon roll and praline and do like you were doing before. It's so true. Despite all the misogyny, black women are prospering. Bless God. I post on the Clock app as often as I can, but they won't let me talk, so I move on my life. Nope. Thank you for asking, Perez. She asked, could I analyze the summer I turned pretty? I will not, no. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Miss, I forget her name. Starts with an S. But she's got some problems, and I don't reify that. Have I read the Teen Vogue interview with Shelley and I? No, I've heard a lot about it. I haven't had time to read it yet, but I'm glad that they are, speaking for themselves and calling out. It's important just to name a lot of these things. I was so glad to see them, just really address the things head on. And it's important to do that in a print video because I think a lot of times, not that print can't be taken out of context, but I think in this age of media and watching, people have gotten so used to videos and editing that, they no longer sit and conceptualize and read the thing for themselves. I don't watch UK Love is Blind. It really wasn't that hard. Cabby P says, how was I able to clock Sydney Sweeney as a racist before the jeans and registered Republican thing being revealed? Because I, called her out way back during the Met Gala when the theme was about black style, celebrating black style. And she wore a dress that honored, what's the name of that 60s star? Anyway, a white woman. That's it. That's how you do it. Just pay attention because that kind of thing is overt. It's not covert at all. People who justified it wanted to justify it, but you're at an event that is literally centered around celebrating black style and you want to try and poo-poo on it. No, it wasn't Monroe. It was, God, don't help me. It's that Sex and the Single Girl one. I know this woman's name. I'm gonna be mad later and I couldn't think of it. Damn. Kate. No. They mentioned her in Down with Love, and I was just watching Down with Love. Y'all are gonna have to sit with me while I just... Yes, Kim Novak. Oh, I'm mad. I could have gotten that. Yes, Kim Novak. So Gabby P says, it's crazy. It's awesome how you clocked it and it was so subtle. People called you crazy and here you are being proven right. I'll always be proven right. And it's not because I am prescient. I always say, people, I am not a clairvoyant. All I do is read and look at history. So you can do it too. I try to teach you all how to do it. My whole content is centered around teaching you all how to see these patterns. I can't read that comment, but it's funny. Teen Vogue's Truth or Dare was done the day after her Call Me Daddy. Okay, interesting. Yeah, she does have unironic initials. Of course she's a pick-me, because that's all she's got. Thank you. Whew. All right, that's the first batch done. I might, not that hot. I think I'm just gonna go forth and go do the second batch. I mean, I'm gonna let this pan cool down for a minute. But, and actually, yeah, I'm gonna let this pan cool down, let this meat cool. Then we can get out the thing and start portioning up the individual things, because so I'm doing my meal prep right now with you guys, and If you want to change your life, I think the most important thing is setting yourself up for success. So a lot of you guys are always asking me, how is it that you work out 2 hours a day? And, how do you do this thing and that thing while doing all this other stuff? And the key is organizing your time and just making it easier to make the right choice. So I was saying earlier, someone asked, what am I cooking? I'm making ground turkey right now and, taco seasoning. And that way I can just put it in the freezer, in little individual baggies. And when I'm in a hurry, I can take it out and make a quick burrito. I described earlier how I make the burrito, but what the heck, I'll do it here too. So I get the little individual $1 potato bowls from Taco Bell. It's just the potatoes, like 100 calories. And I get like 10 at once, just throw them in the freezer, and then stick the potatoes in the air fryer. I've got the ground turkey, just stick that in the microwave, a dollop of Tostitos queso, stir, and then some non-fat Greek yogurt, which in my opinion tastes just like sour cream, only the Chobani though. So a little bit of that on top. And, then you got your potatoes. It's just like the cheesy, beefy potato burrito that they used to have at Taco Bell. It's delicious. It's like so much protein because the wrap is 6 grams. You got the Greek yogurt in there. That's probably like 15, depending on how much you use. And then the turkey is 16 grams of protein. Cheese, you get a little bit of cheese, this thing, that thing. Bam, next thing you know, it's at least 40 grams of protein. And it's easy, Or I was saying I do the same thing, but with nachos. So I take the same ground beef or ground turkey taco base, and then I add, the Quest chips, the lime. I don't like the other flavors, but the lime, I think is just sublime for this. Put more of the Tostitos queso on there, and then lots of pico de gallo. Because it's so fresh, it gives it really just a lovely taste. And veggies, get your veggies in. Bing, bang, boom, dollop of the Greek yogurt on top. And I eat the thing down. Like, it is just so yummy. Yeah, meal prep is life. Meal prep is everything. I was just telling Papa Rex earlier when he wandered into the kitchen. The last time I meal prep was a month ago. And I am so much closer to my goals now because it's been so easy. If I'm hungry, all I got to do is go in the freezer. I talked about one thing I meal prep, but I also meal prep chicken, other things. And then I just have stuff on hand, like the Just Bear nuggets. I like the spicy ones. It's like if Chick-fil-A made spicy nuggets. So I've got the Just Bear spicy nuggets in there. I've got this thing, that thing, the third thing, just for when I'm peckish and it's at your fingertips. You can eat in 10, 15 minutes. Because the thing you tell yourself about fast food is, oh my God, it's so easy. I need the convenience. I'm so busy. I'm too busy. I want to make it as easy as possible to do the right thing for my body. Doesn't heating it up again make it soggy? No. No, but that's also why I freeze in the small batches. I already have it weighed and measured, and that way I just throw it in the microwave, takes a minute to heat up, and it's just as fresh as ever. Did I meal prep in college? No, but that's because I had more time on my hands. So I would cook every night in college, but what else was I doing? And yeah, just make sure you throw those potatoes in the air fryer because that's what will keep them nice and crisp. Malik says she needs my opinion on this. Her cousin and herself had an argument. She made the claim that we're on Earth to have offspring, and I told her people need only community and human interaction. My answer to that is always, look at people who haven't had children and tell me who's had more of an impact on the world. Some woman who's had like 10 kids or Oprah. Oprah has 0 children. and she literally just runs the world. Oprah is like Olivia Pope before Olivia Pope. You remember when she got sued by those cattle ranchers because she had a, like, I think it was a doctor or something on there on her show back in like late 90s, and they were talking about how bad red meat is for your health, and it is. And as soon as Oprah said, oh man, I'm definitely going to cut out the red meat, they claim she cost them millions in sales. So name somebody who has kids who got reach like that. Like, yeah. And the thing is, people, I'm guessing, Malik, that you don't have children and your cousin has children, and she's got to justify her choices. For a Sprite, they will argue that those 10 kids will grow up to be artists and lawyers. One thing about it, you know what's funny to me? Because I'm not sitting in judgment of people who have children. I'm not anti, truly. Obviously, I'm the product of somebody who had children. But I've never seen someone who was really about that life defend having children with all their heart and soul like that. Like, my mom has 5 children, and she's like, live your life. Have them or don't. She's like, and don't have them until you've done everything you want to do. But that's because she's highly accomplished. My mother has 2 degrees. She's the national president of her organization. She's just, I can't even name you all her accolades. She's done thing after thing after thing after thing and continues to do all the things. So she doesn't have a dog in the having children fight, and she has 5. Exactly, Tony T. And there are so many children who already need a home. People need to adopt. It's true. I completely concur. Because this whole idea of needing to reproduce your DNA or whatever, it's really vanity. A lot of people are like, what's so special about your DNA? Yes, she is Black excellence. Dorothy Prince says she got into it with her mom because she said she would leave her husband if he ever cheated. Beloved, I am single, unmarried, a 21-year-old college student, struggles of the enlightened. Now that's funny. That's what I don't like to say. I don't like to come on here on YouTube live because, you know, everything, it stays up unless I decide to take it down. But what the heck? We're flying without a net today. I actually got into an argument with my mother about the same thing when I was about the same age, maybe a bit younger. And it was more so the principle of it. But I was like, yeah, of course I would. We were talking about somebody who we knew. And I was like, yeah, well, I hope she finds a good divorce lawyer. And she's like, what? I can't believe so-and-so would leave. I was like, if they're smart, they will. And she's like, oh, something about God and some other foolishness. And I was like, baby, let me tell you what God's not going to do. Protect you from HIV. Like, all jokes aside, Black women in the US have rates on par with the global South. It's freaking ridiculous. And why? Because of all this forgiveness and latitude and, oh my God, don't be so hard on your brother. Give a brother a chance. Give a brother a chance to ruin your life. Give a brother a chance to give you something incurable. It's a no from me. But y'all go off. And I remember right before the pandemic hit, you know, March 2020, when Gillum got caught. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. And I said I hoped that his wife, Jay, they tell me it's pronounced Jay, would leave him. And she's like, oh, well, they have children. I was like, baby, I don't care if she has 10 children with this man. This is how you get your life messed up. This is how you end up being, like, cut off from all exits. You've got to learn how to leave when the getting is good. Yes, Peanut King, Black women absolutely need to stop forgiving. And honestly, you need to learn how to read the signs. And I will say this without fear of contradiction. I always think of Cookie, you know, Magic Johnson's wife. I only learned a few years ago that he left her at the altar a couple of different times. So he left her like there once, and he canceled their wedding very close to time at least one other time. See, that was God. God was trying to help you. But I have said it before and I will say it again. First of all, if you don't take the warning the universe is handing you, you will have to suffer the consequences. What do I always tell y'all? 2025 is the year of consequences. That's the first thing. The second thing is you all have to stop forgiving, because when you get involved in what was meant for somebody else, when you start trying to be a shield from somebody's consequences, their consequences will land on you. And that is what is currently happening to, what's that fool's name? Megan Good. It's what happened to Cookie. And it will happen to you if you're not circumspect. Wake up. Because Jonathan Majors has been able to escape whatever consequences of his own actions because the consequences are landing on Megan Good. I told you all this. I said, look at all the headlines about the engagement and then the marriage. They talked about Megan Good now being associated and marrying a person who has a DV record. All of the negative stigma is attaching to her name as the woman. And now his name is clean, and he's back with Disney. He's back living his life. Very true, Rebecca Hiller. Same as Brandy's character in the game, Chardonnay. Yes. True, Peanut King. Forgiveness preaching is an abuse tactic that stops people from facing consequences and accountability. But not only that, all of the institutions that preach forgiveness, they have a vested interest in you being an idiot. They have a vested interest in you not seeing patterns. The church is going to tell you to forgive. Anything, honestly, in the community is going to tell you to forgive, because they need you to have that mentality that it's normal for people to violate you. It's normal for people to come against you, to harm you, and for you to let it slide. Because if you don't normalize that, how are they going to continue to get their ration of labor out of you in the church? How are they going to continue to do nothing for you while siphoning away all of your money and telling you, oh, well, the money's gone awry again. Oh, no one knows what happened to the church building fund, but you got to forgive. Exactly, Momo. And that's how you know people are playing games. People do want to dig into Alexis Ohanian with faux concern for Serena and Venus as well, with her new fiance. And sometimes I really feel like I have changed the world just by putting certain ideas into my household. I think I told you all the other day, this tickled me to death. So my dad loves tennis, and his brother loves tennis too. They sometimes go to the Open or Wimbledon or whatever, but they didn't make it out this year. And he was on the phone after Venus lost her match with his brother, and they were just chopping it up or whatever. And they were like, "Oh my God, so sorry that Venus lost. It's crazy that it happened." But then my uncle was like, "Oh well, it doesn't really matter because now she's engaged to that white man." And my dad's like, "Stop it." He was like, Serena and Venus gave black men dozens of chances. It's too bad for them that didn't take them. Oh, well, what are they supposed to do? Sit here forever? I was like, I've changed the world. I've changed the world. I've made so many, such a difference. And it's so serious. It's so important because my dad is 62, His brother is even older. His brother's almost 70. And if you can inject these ideas into this generation and men can talk to other men, it spreads. He did stand on business. We love him. But now I have to say, my uncle's a good man. He's a good man. He's been married longer than my dad, obviously, as he's older. And he's got, his 2 children with his wife. And, he loves his grandson. He's a good family man. He's a good guy. It's my little buddy. I have to beat up on him in spades, but that's my friend. Love him. But he's just got the same mentality as a lot of black men in that generation, and they had to be taught, they had to be led. Because I'm like, sir, in addition to watching tennis, I know he must watch football and basketball, and all these men who y'all love to fawn over and whatnot are all married to white women or non-black women, and y'all don't say jack. So please, leave us alone. Exactly, Peanut King. I'm sure he doesn't have the same energy. At least I've never heard him have it for black men. And maybe he does. I don't know. But it's never to the same degree. Even black men who say, oh, well, I don't like either of them marrying interracially, it's not the same. I was just, oh, dang. See, that I can't say on here because it's going to be recorded. I'll just say, I was talking to somebody. I was talking to somebody who I know who recently got engaged, a black man. And I was teasing him. I was like, oh, all my prayers paid off. Because he's a very accomplished young man, and he's marrying a very lovely young black woman, and in a timely manner too, just how I like it. And he's like, oh, you're one to talk to me because you're probably going to marry out or whatever. I was like, yeah, probably am if I do get married. But it's a different thing altogether. It's just the circumstances are not the same. So true, Devonda. People don't want black women to be loved. They do feel like other black women not only want struggle love, they think you only deserve it. My parents, my mom was 20 and my dad was 22 when they got married. It's true, Dorothy Prince. Black women run towards love and black men run away from their blackness when it comes to interracial relationships. And not only that, I'll say this. There's a difference. Even if you're pragmatic, even if you're not like running towards love, like, oh my God, you weren't, like you just started dating. You know, you just started dating a wider range of men. Like you didn't fall for one in particular, just like, okay, I'm gonna open my options up. There's a difference between being pragmatic because of past experience and rejecting fair opportunities. Like, you know, I don't think any black man in the world has an excuse. I'm not saying they can't date out, they can do whatever they want, but I don't think they have the justification of saying they couldn't find what they wanted on the inside. My mother used to make me laugh at that. She's like, you know, we have the greatest genetic diversity in the world. You can't say you don't like black women because whatever you like, there's a black woman who's got it. You want one with red hair, they got that. They like naturally red hair. You want one who's a blonde, you got natural blondes here. You know, go to the Solomon Islands, get you a blonde with blue eyes who's black. You can find one who's got freckles. You can find one who's got, you know, tightly coiled hair. You can find one who has naturally straight hair. You can find one who's short, tall, thin, curvy. Any kind of woman you want can be found here. And not only that, you just have so much variety in the sense that there's a much greater proportion of black women who are single than black men who are single. So you've got options. You've got every single possible thing you could want. So a black man cannot, to me, look me in the face and say, oh, well, I just had to go outside because of this, that, and the third. You can go outside. I don't care. But you can't tell me you were forced by circumstance. You made a choice, which is valid, but you can't say I had to, because not only do you have everything you could possibly want, there are such numbers that you could always find what you want right around you. You don't have to go anywhere. But for black women, we're not even talking about classifying for age or for money or degrees or anything. Just on the face, there are more black women on this earth than there are black men. So if you want a partner, get with the program. And then after that, when you start breaking it down, okay, well, there are so many who are in jail. There are so many who are, you know, in gangs. There are so many who are homeless. There are so many who are this, that, and the third. So they're not eligible for you. And then you start controlling for things like class and background and things you have in common, you know, wanting a man with no children. Baby, the old people used to say, you pick and you pick until you pick needle without eye. As you know, you get a useless thing. So yeah, I don't agree with people who say we're self-selecting down to a smaller and smaller group, but you're selecting, not so much self-selecting, you're selecting out of what's there, and what's there is already not great. You're already pretty much at a thrift store to start with. And when you start culling for cause, you quickly end up with pretty much nothing. I love my old people. They do have all the coolest phrases. Gabby P. And you know what's funny? I was actually talking to the guy I was talking to on the phone earlier about that. So she says, why is baby mama culture so normalized? Like, well, it's not my place to speak on other communities. So they called out another community. That's not my that's not my purview. I try to stay in my own lane. I don't know why other people do it, but I can tell you about my people. I was telling him it's hopelessness. I don't believe that these women want to have children without the benefit of marriage. But they've come to believe the hype. They've come to believe this is all they're ever going to be offered, and they would rather have that than have nothing. One thing about me, you can't hold that over my head because, baby, first of all, I don't even want children. But even when I was a fence sitter back when I was like 18, I was like, baby, I would rather not. I would rather have nothing than to be in that situation, because I've looked around my community and never has that seemed like a good time to me. Gabby P says she's Latina and it's normalized here to be baby mama or have shotgun weddings. That's you saying that, not me, babe. I wouldn't know. That's none of my business. Dorothy Prince says, I keep thinking about what that woman who says women allow men to be something that they would never allow us to be, ugly and loved, in reference to Jay-Z. It's true. I've been saying that a long time, not, that phrasing, but yeah. Men like Chris Rock make those jokes. Oh, men, they have to earn love, and women and children have to earn. I'm like, I don't know who told you that lie, because men don't even have to look like humans to get loved. Like, when I see some of the sea creatures the most beautiful women in the world are settling for, Beyonce and her camel. And I don't know if I'm going to have time to do a whole thing about Halle Berry and her ex-husband. I'll just say this, because that's the worst thing about going on vacation. You come back and it's been like 20,000 things and you can't cover them all. Men, you have to be so careful who you give your time and attention to, because men will still be trying to profit from your connection literally 30, 40 years later. This man is so irrelevant. That's his whole shtick. I used to be married to Halle Berry. And now, like, you're trying to get some relevance and humble her at the same time. Like, what a fucking loser. What a loser. You're so right, Katana. She said, it seems petty, but I hate how women have been programmed to tolerate ugliness. It's one of those things. I always tell you all, we are a collective as women. Our standards rise and fall collectively. If you say no to ugly men, other women around you will follow suit. I don't even know what that means. That's funny. Well, he's clearly a dromedary. He's got lumps. Oh. Yes, not basically. Jay-Z absolutely groomed Beyonce. And that's why it's so important. It's so important to have good, caring parents. I have some mercy for her because, she didn't make herself. She didn't raise herself. She didn't put herself in those situations. But after a certain point, you do have to take responsibility. If not for yourself, for your child. My goodness. Well, no, Dorothy Prince, there was a whole Black History thing behind why she named the album Cowboy Carter, because it's Cowboy Carter 2 or Part 2 or something. It honors the Carter family that was in country music years ago, the Black Carter family that was in country music decades ago and didn't get their due. Honestly, I don't think people realize how deep and how long the psychological effects of grooming are. This is not you had a boyfriend in high school or whatever. This can last the rest of your life. Look at Celine Dion. Look at Mariah Carey. Like, both of those women are carrying the damage of being groomed as children. Um, and I don't know that they'll ever make a recovery. And Celine, it's not happening. It's not gonna happen. Also, hold on one second. Where was I? No, Peanut King, it's not sad, it's intentional. She said it's sad how the main Black love story has grooming, cheating, and the preferences, the colorism. It's not sad, it's literally intentional. And I'll tell you something else. Since y'all came to the live, you can hear this. And it's right there. I gotta start pulling out my old blog posts, because I used to go in on this stuff. This was Cosby's plan. Cosby was trying to groom Lisa Bonet. But she wasn't the first one. He first tried to groom that girl who played Sandra. And the reason why the Sandra character was not featured, because I always thought that made no sense. Why are you going to have season 1 of your show and you're supposed to have 5 kids and one of them's gone to college? That's just stupid. It's like having 4 children because you don't even see one. It's because she wouldn't get with the program. And there's a whole article. I made inferences from the article, but I got to go back and find the piece I did on that, because it was so clear. The woman, I forget her name, but the Sandra character talked about how she's supposed to have a much bigger role. The oldest daughter on the Cosby Show. You know her. She doesn't really favor Lisa Bonet, except for the fact they're both white presenting. But then she's extremely fair skinned. She's got the hair. She was married to Elvin. She had the twins. But I was like, she was the one. She was the intended first victim. It didn't work out because she said, I'm good over here and no thank you. And then Cosby focused all of his laser-like attention on Lisa Bonet. Favorite color is Cosby. Exactly. And I have always said this. I've been saying this since before his original trial. What he wanted was to get everything in his favor. He had not anticipated that Lisa Bonet was going to break and get married and then have her child and go on about her business. He thought, oh, I'm gonna break her down psychologically. That was the whole point of bringing her back onto the Cosby Show after her stint on A Different World. And he thought, oh, I'm gonna get my hooks back into her. I'm gonna be all powerful over her. And it was my belief he always intended to break her down psychologically, divorce his wife Camille, and then marry Lisa Bonet. But thank God Lisa didn't go for the gusto. She said, you're not gonna get me. You're not going to get me. Yeah, Peanut King, I think I did see that. She said there's a gay black man on TikTok talking about how he resents black men because of the way they treat him in relationships. So it's the same problem on that side. Literally, I just saw, I don't know if it's the same guy or different guy, but one guy on there the other day saying he knows, he can confirm all the stuff that we say is true because he's experienced it himself. And he just started giving example after example of just unreciprocated labor, a lot of demands, especially physical demands. child. I have to rest for a minute. Yes, absolutely. Oh, so someone was saying, I want to go back to that question. Someone said, do I personally know anyone who has been groomed? You personally know women who have been groomed. You know, you just may not know it yet. I remember some people I knew. I thought that they had this, tremendous marriage. Oh, they had been married literally 60 plus years, almost 65 years. This will be important later. And I write obituaries. So I helped to write the obituary for the wife when she passed away. And, I don't know if you know this, but you have to get somebody's whole history to write their obituary. So I was like, okay, well, what year did you graduate from high school? And, where did you go to college? And what year did you get married or whatever? Turns out these people were all up with Jesus, all up good with God. I'm thinking they had this perfect marriage. She didn't graduate from high school because she married this guy when she was 16 and he was in his 20s. And this was not, first of all, this was in a major city. This is like in New York. So it wasn't like, oh, this is some backwards country town in Georgia or Alabama. This was in a major city. And it wasn't like, oh, here's the family friend you've known your whole life. They had known each other for like a couple of months. And this was a girl in high school. I've never been so disgusted in my life. I was pissed when I found that out. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. You don't even get to graduate from high school. And again, I just want to emphasize, it's not like, oh, there are two children in the country somewhere who grew up together and you got married at 16, you both quit school, there was no high school around there. This was a normal woman who grew up in a large city and all her friends went to college and whatnot when she graduated. This was abnormal. This was grooming. Malik says, my grandmother was definitely groomed. She was 14 and an orphan and was married off to a 24-year-old. I'm very sorry to hear that. What's up, Mia? So I was saying, your age gap needs to be in proportion to what is going on in your life. It doesn't matter. It doesn't signify if someone who's 35 dates someone who's 37 because they're in the same place in their life. You're both grown, you both have jobs, you probably have degrees, you might own a house, you're at least, taking care of a household, you're paying bills, you're in the same place in your life versus 14 and 16. It's 2 years, but it's a huge gap in life and experience. Your high school freshman or whatever should not be dating a high school junior. It's different when you go to college. It's probably, I think that's the biggest your age gap should be though. When you get to college, 2 years maximum, and I really don't even recommend that. But yes, you need to be in the same phase of life. You could even be 40 dating a 35-year-old. Not that I would do that as a 36-year-old, but if a woman wanted to do that, I'd, live your life because you might be in the same place. But there's no reason for you to date someone who's not even in your, bracket. You're a teenager. You shouldn't be dating anybody whose age starts with 20. Well, I said from the jump that was going to turn out badly. Boho Geek says, weren't Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas like 20 and 27 when they got engaged, and look how that turned out. And I just I said years ago that was going to be a mess. And behold, I was correct. That was one of our early Shut Up Ring videos. And people tried to get on me so bad. And then they got divorced. And I was like, who was right? It was me. Mm. And honestly, um, girls need to be careful nowadays. Even if you're close in age or you're in the same school, these boys are so predatory. Like, have you all seen the number of cases that are about a teenage boy preying on younger girls? Like maybe a 17-year-old preying on a 14-year-old or something like that. I swear, they're getting all red pilled and inceled up. Mm-hmm. What? I don't know anything about this adoption, Jada. What is this adoption? Yeah, Katana, it's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy. I know exactly why it's happening, but it's it's scary to see it be so obvious. Let's see if I can say this in a way that's going to cause this video to not get taken down. So Katana says, that's all I see on the T app. Men in their late teens getting exposed for PDF fileism. And I want to explain to you all why that is. And I talk about this in my book. So adult men, if you watch TV shows, have tried to convince you that, like, oh my God, the ones who are the most objectively attractive are teenage girls. Okay, if that were supposed to be true, how come you always see these teen boys nowadays, as she said, teenage boys and young men getting exposed for trying to prey on children? Because it was never about that. It was never about these men thinking that teen girls are like, oh my God, so gorgeous. I've always said, you can tell these men who like watch Euphoria and stuff, they are never around actual children. Thank God they shouldn't be around actual children. But as someone who has taught high school, teenagers look like embryos. They might be tall, but they're awkward, they're gangly. Like, if you look in the face of a teenager, you always see it's a child. I don't care how physically developed they might be. I don't care how tall they are. I don't care, like, what a deep voice the boys have, whatever. Like, look in their face, you will always see a kid. And the reason that these teen boys or young men are going for actual children is because it's all about control. You know, the older men can go for teen girls; they get the same amount of control as these boys going for the middle school children. Katana J says, I'm 21 and just taught a course for high schoolers. They're babies compared to me. Exactly. And they are just so, I mean, you should see them. They're so excited about, like, literally, I used to bring my students like candy or chips, if they answered questions or if they did well on their work, and they would freak out over a bag of flaming hot Cheetos. Oh my God, thank you, miss. You're so nice. You're my best friend. Because I gave them chips. Like, they're children, they're kids. And they're boys who are like literally basketball players for the school, so they might be 6 feet, they might be 6'4", and they're so excited because you gave them some candy. They're children. So yeah, anyone who'd be interested in that, they need to be locked up. It's true. It's absolutely true, Mackenzie. She said these men are avoiding having to be better at all costs. The main thing is they want to have someone who finds them impressive so they don't have to work hard or be better people. I mean, since y'all came to this live, I will give y'all a little something uh, that I was doing for the Patreon people. Just a little sample. So I was saying, you all have to be so careful because they couldn't get you. So they're now trying to get your daughters. And it's very scary how are very real, good, valid talking points for disentering men are trying to be turned against our children. I don't know if you all saw that case the other day. The man, he was like in Florida somewhere. Of course, he was in Florida. But yeah, he was somewhere in Florida and he was convicted, or I'm sorry, he's been arrested for basically a kind of trafficking. He was flying to, let me not lie, one of those flat states. I can't think of it. Minnesota, Iowa, New Hampshire, one of them. He was flying to one of those states to basically assault a teenage girl. What happened was he crept on her on social media. So then I just want to emphasize, this was not like somebody who's 20, whatever. This man was 60 years old. This man was 60 years old. This man was older than my father. It's like in his 60s. And anyhow, he crept on some kind of social media site. I don't remember what it was. And he starts telling this girl, I can do this for you, I can do that for you, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, he paid her money and got favors in return, but some of them were under duress. He has now been arrested for this. And because of the whole interstate travel thing, he has gotten additional charges tacked on. But the thing that stood out to me the most was, they had the chat logs up. And I said, it's the hopelessness. He was like, boys your age, they only want one thing, and like, I want that too, and I'm willing to pay for it. Like, these girls, they're children, and they hear us having adult conversations about how, men are predatory, which they are, and how they only want physicality, which they do. But they hear it, and with their not fully developed minds, it actually can make them easier prey for predators like this. Because they think, oh, now I've got the secret sauce. Oh, I know the guys are no good, so I'm just gonna make a profit off it. That's not, no. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And it seems like we're just seeing more and more and more things like this. There was that girl, the teenager who worked at one of those fast food places, Subway, McDonald's, or whatever, being propositioned by the general manager. It's so much. It seems like there's a new avenue every day for these predators to get to your girls. Yeah, Leah said, I used to teach and it's so scary. Parents are so involved. It's terrifying. I mean, I've taught at all grade levels. When I was teaching 5th grade, I think that was the last time you had to have an actual day where you invite students to talk about any bad experiences or weird experiences that they've had. And the number of my students who would say, oh, I play, video games, I play like the multiplayer ones, and they'd be on like World of Warcraft, mind their own business, 10 years old. My students were in 5th grade and talking about they saw a grown man on there, just naked, just, showing himself. I mean, the little conversations that you're supposed to have with the teacher no longer, they're not competent, they're not enough to cover the things your students will say. I mean, I remember we had that day where you're supposed to invite your students to talk, and I just burst into tears. I needed therapy after that. It was crazy. Yeah, children can't even have a digital safe space anymore. And it's crazy because you're thinking, oh, we'll keep them off the multiplayer games. The number of kids who told me they had been approached on Roblox, I couldn't even believe it. All I could do was report it to the principal, and like, what could I do? What? I don't even understand that question, Leah. What is this? Yes, teens don't even look good because you're not a PDF file. That's the thing. Whenever men are talking about some old teenage girls, I'm like, yeah, no, you're, I know what you are. Time to call the police. Time to have the FBI search your computer. Because I can promise you, as someone who's worked with children, they look a mess. Like, not in a mean way, but like in a, they're children. They're still cooking. They're embryos. Yeah, they're an awkward bunch of creatures. It's very sad. They're just walking around all gangly like a giraffe that just, got dropped. Poor things. And they look like what they've been through. They smell weird. Poor things. They just. I do not miss teaching high school. It's true. Yes, teens do have, we have to find another word other than useful, because teenagers have such a childlike appearance because they are children. I disagree with that, Scully Bear. So Scully Bear says the reason To Catch a Predator was taken off the air is because they were catching, the white man. If they had been exposing BM or Latinos, the show would be on the air today. First of all, I think it's regional because I saw some seasons they caught quite a lot of different types of men. And if they wanted to catch different kinds of men, if that was their interest, they would have just changed locations. But I do think it was proportionate. And it's not that the demographics don't prey on children, it's that they don't go online to do it. Why would they have to bother when they can go to church? Why, when they could, go to the family reunion? Child, Chris Hansen was over the nonsense. I remember one episode, I think they brought the show back or whatever. There are definitely some newer episodes. And he's just over it. A guy started talking and he's just like, shut up. Just shut up because I already read the logs. Just enough. Yep, no, they definitely come from all backgrounds. But you know what scares me about that show? I don't know if you all realize this. The first few times they did To Catch a Predator, it was just a TV sting. Like, there were no cops waiting to arrest the people. People actually had to suggest that they get cops involved. And that has always disturbed me. Because why were you doing this and not, like, handing people over to the police? Like, it's good that they were filmed. Thank you, Jesus. But why? Whatever possessed you to think, let's make a show where we catch the predators and then like catch and release? The first episodes were like catch and release a predator. Ooh, child. Mackenzie said they caught a rabbit one time. That's crazy. Exactly, Tom. Like it was trashy reality TV. Like, this is serious. This is a crime. Upset by like their fish. Exactly. Exactly. It's, and then sometimes I really wonder, like with this whole Gulf Coast Stapleton thing. And I'm actually gonna put that in my video later. I'm gonna do on Adrian Balon. I don't think people have a good understanding. Oh, Olivia and Rose, glad to see you. Yeah. I've seen that guy on YouTube that does the catch and release. Now, you know the guy who I like? I think he's on TikTok. He does a catch, but there's no release. He catches them and beats the heck out of them. I like him. I miss him. That's a good man. He's a good man, Savannah. Beat them. I mean, he was handing out them lefts and them rights. Thank you, Hamaya. I still can't believe they did a whole season of To Catch a Predator and just were catching and releasing like nobody's business. The mystery of it all. Not they caught the same people more than once. But I remember when I was a girl. I'm just shaking my head. It was like Take Out Your Predator, but there was no TV involved. They caught a relatively famous meteorologist. The police caught him in a sting, and I mean, he went to prison because of the stuff he had on him. And they opened up his computer, and then he went to prison again. And to this day, I'll never forget that. Like, I'm trying to figure out what I can say on here without getting this thing taken down. I'll just say the additional charges for the things he had on him equaled up to more than him trying to chat up the child. Like, it wasn't like when people go on To Catch a Predator. It wasn't like he could explain the stuff away. Like, there was no other usage for the stuff that he brought. I hope you report how hot it is in hell. Oh, that's funny, Jada. I'm gonna have to call my twin and tell him that. Oh. Yeah, of course I don't believe in rehabilitation. Because let me explain something to you all. Men do not have what we know as I probably can't say that on here. I'll just say they only have preferred victims. But they're opportunistic. They will prey on anything that has a shadow. It doesn't even have to have a pulse. You know? So if you have been caught in that, you've done much worse things. See, men are like roaches. Stay with me. You know how when they say, you see one roach, there are actually 50 in the walls or whatever? For every one red flag you see, there are 50 that you don't when it comes to men. So if a man has actually been caught in a crime against a child, he's probably committed 50 or more. You should just kill him. Fight me. Don't care. Yes, I was very pro when they were talking about handing out the, what penalty. I was very, very pro that. Still hoping that it comes to fruition. And that's one of the reasons I kind of miss TikTok Live. I'm gonna have to humble myself and go back over there because at least I can say what I want to over there, knowing it's not being recorded. He's a wise man. Dorothy Prince says, my dad says that men don't understand grace, nor do they deserve it. They only understand consequences. He's a very intelligent human. Actually, let me pop open my soda real quick. My throat is dry. 1 second. Check in to see if I live. It's my own fault, actually. I left a lemonade out yesterday, and I thought it was today's lemonade, and I drank some of it, and death is imminent. Death is imminent. But it's all my own fault. I should be okay, I think. Yeah, just 1 step. I'll be fine. Yes, you gotta pee. That's one thing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the age of a predator because there are you know, underage, like, you know, teens that prey on other children, you're still a predator. A perfect example of that is Kavanaugh. You know, the one who sits on the Supreme Court, Kavanaugh. Dr. Ford tells us that he assaulted her. You know, it was a group assault at a party when they were teenagers. You know, and that was the Republicans' big excuse. Oh, he was just a child. Oh, he was just this or that. No, he was just a rapist. And has he changed in the subsequent years? No, he's still a rapist. Well, thank you all for caring. Yeah, honestly, I never had a problem like that, but I can understand why people don't want to bother with teaching anymore. Exactly. That's the other thing. The N and the H says everyone's just a child when they do something bad. Not everyone, just men. But yeah, they're always children, even when they're 37. Yeah. Remember, Ryan Lochte, grown, almost 30-year-old ass, was down there in Latin America cutting the fool, lying about being robbed by that taxi driver, and just, you know, just rampaging, beating people up, trying to assault people. And then they, oh, he's just a kid. This grown ass man, sir, please. Meanwhile, you as a girl, you're never a child. Yeah, the swimmer, you know, Ryan Lochte. Exactly. Yes. Oh, the 12-year-old. She knew what she was doing. Yeah, it's always something. Always a reason why you don't deserve protection. I remember that was when I knew men were really dragging it. There was a man who justified assaulting like an 8-year-old. He said to the judge, "Oh, I thought she was 16." But wait for it. But wait for it. The judge let him off. I was like, women need to stop playing with these people. Women just need to start opening fire. Because I was like, don't even worry about it. Like, the judge, the man, they wouldn't have to worry about nothing else. It's true, Peanut King, and that's why I'm not a bit more concerned about To Catch a Predator. So she said a lot of people hate hearing it, but the hood has a PDF file concentration. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think it has to do with the demographics not being pedos. They just don't have to go online to find their victims. That's all, because nobody's protecting these girls and boys in certain areas, and not just certain areas, like whole communities. Because even the ritziest, you know, talented 10th, Inkwell, prep school, Jack and Jill types, just like the rest of the community, be letting people run amok. Oh, Lord Jesus. I can't even read that comment out loud. Yes, now I did hear about that, Mackenzie, even though I'm not from the area. She said how many women talk about back in the 90s how R. Kelly was known to hang out at the high school McDonald's. Yeah. I've heard that, not anywhere near the Midwest. I grew up in the South, but I've heard that a million times. Yep, exactly, group parlor. They ain't got to go online. The demographics are going to high schools, parks, church, pools. And not only that, they don't just go there, like they don't drive by. They will get they'll get a job, you know? I just saw a woman, I think I reposted her post. She was talking about her daughter was having a negative experience, or had a negative experience with a substitute, the male, of course, demographics. Ugh, disgusting. Anyways, and she was saying now the man has a permanent position, and her other, her cousin, I think, the girl's cousin, is now saying how inappropriate the guy's being. Just a sample. He said, "Oh, I want all my pretty girls sitting in the front." He gave another girl a lollipop, told her to lick it. Anyway, the girls, the first girl went to her mother. The cousin also told the cousin who went to the mother. And then the cousin had also told a woman teacher who did not report, despite being a mandated reporter. Now, I don't want to lie. I don't want to lie because the woman did not name a school. But from the comments, the commenters did name a school. So I won't name it just because I don't know if it's 100% the right one. But I was like, the mother said, "I've already called the administration. I've already done this. I've already done that. But I'm taking it here to social media because they're not doing anything." I was like, this is so fucking typical. So typical. Because how many times do black women get online and talk about the security guards at the high school or middle school even? And sometimes the teachers, this one, that one, the third one, you know? Exactly, we're part of the high school where R. Kelly did his searching. Everyone knew his truck was parked out. His truck was parked outside school. Yeah, and honestly, uh, I'll say this now, recorded and all without fear of contradiction. This is the same shit that happened with Sandusky. This is the same shit that happened with Sandusky, and I will die on this hill. The reason that was not reported, like the people who eventually talked about it, they were talking like they had never had speech before. They said yes, everybody saw it was open in the the showers and whatnot. Everybody knew that he was abusing children and just doing everything. And the reason nobody said anything is because these were boys of color. These were black boys, these were Latino boys. Period, point blank. And they let that statue right up. And they did nothing and let that have been white boys. Now, to be fair, it depends on the organization because the Catholic Church certainly didn't care. But in this particular case, I think it was because it was a powerful white man preying on black, especially black and children of color that were poor. Y'all know about this. Or maybe you don't. It was years ago. But big time football coach, you know, Jerry Sandusky, he had a program that was supposed to coach young boys and help them or whatever. And it turns out he was just using it as a funnel to just sexually abuse all these boys. Huge scandal came out, all these assistant coaches and others, witnesses, and the victims came forward. And I mean, like, they just, yeah, there's several documents about it. It was a huge thing. But when asked why they didn't speak up sooner, when they start coming with this pile of evidence, these people wanted to talk slow. Well, actually, no, it came out before he died, but then he died right after. It's foolishness. Anyways, but when all the people who were coming with all this, I mean, loads and loads of physical evidence, when they started piling it up, the people were like, "And you didn't say this years before because why?" And I think it was a double-pronged motive. First of all, the money. I think people don't realize how much money there is in sports programs that are not professional. At the high school and college level, there's still so much money involved. So I think that was actually the primary thing. The assistant coaches, they didn't want to mess up their money. And I think one of the guys came out and said it after a while because he went on to coach at Ohio or Alabama, one of the, the big football schools. And he was like, yo, I was trying to get my recommendation. I wanted my money. But the other part of it was, I don't think those men ever acknowledged that those boys of color were human, like equally human. It was the first time I really saw that they never see you as a child. They never saw you as innocent. Like when one of the assistant coaches, the ones who came forward, one of them said, the child, I want to remind you, these were children. Like, not that teenagers aren't children, but these were not teenagers. These were like 10-year-old boys. He said the boys were, quote, willing participants. I was like, is this man well mentally? This is a child. But it hit me. That was the first time I had seen in print, like in a newspaper, confirmation that they just don't view Black children as human, like as children. Truly mind-blowing. Yeah, eventually I just stopped following the story. It was so much. I had just never seen anything like that. You know, the N and the H, but I actually talk about that in the piece I'm doing on Patreon right now. Even when people try to be super woke, like the way Charlotte is written and just like that, it still seeps out. Like the reality, it seeps out. Because I'll give you a little preview since y'all came to the live. I said to myself, I just think it's funny how over-sexualized Lily is, and then just like that. But Rock, you know, Charlotte's biological white child, hasn't even kissed anybody. I think that's so funny. They're very close in age. They're raised in the same household. And they have Lily just out here. I'll just say, Lily is a teenage girl. She is, I don't even know if she's 17 yet. She's in high school. She has not even yet applied to college. And canonically, she has been with 3 men. 3 men. And I'm not using men like instead of males. I mean men. And yet has Rock held somebody's hands? I just think it's funny how Charlotte has two children, and one of them is all, you know, over-sexualized and put out in the world. And, well, the last one was 20, Kelp, but she's in high school. She's a child. But it's all about grooming your children. And I was like, Rock ain't been on a date. And it's just another way of over-sexualizing girls of color. And you can run tell them I said it, because I did. Child, do men even have a thought process? Ignore. I have my thoughts on why that is Kelp, but that requires lots of video evidence and whatnot, so that all goes in the Patreon post. I'll finish that up later. Why are you asking me about rehabilitation? Hell no. There is no rehabbing those things. Kill them with fire. Hold on, guys. Okay. Perfect. I already done, Hamaya. Oh, And we had such a pleasant time. Why would women need rehabilitation, Gabby P? These questions are disturbing me. Yes, vivisections. Vivisections for the PDF files. I don't think women are in need of redemption, but if they engage in that activity, fire. The fire. This is what my girls say, the pair of anguish. The pair of anguish, the Judas cradle, the firing squad, all the things. Gas chamber. There must be more things. The brazen bull. All the things, because no, we don't do that. Jesus says some constant sin, cut it out. Yes, he did, Libyan Rose. The rack. Okay, the rack. That's what a lot of y'all need. It's the rack. You know, I was going to say, the Iron Maiden. Yes, the Iron Maiden. That's what they need. No, Gabby P, we're talking about PDF files. We're talking about PDF files. But, I was just thinking, it's so funny that the Bible says, oh, if, you know, I won't reference the exact verse, but if men do blah, 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 stone them or whatever. I'm like, how come it doesn't say that about PDF files? We all know who was running that game. Oh, I walked earlier, fun size. I did my workout this, between morning and afternoon. Did it from 11 to 1. Oh, girl, no, you wild. No. In the ring of Bobbit, we trust. Absolutely. Absolutely. Only, you know, Lorena made a very crucial, critical mistake, which is that she should have stuck the thing in a blender. Because I don't know if you all know this. She just threw it like in a sidewalk grate. Do you know they had a manhunt for Mr. Bobbit's, you know, appendage, and they were able to sew it back on? Rookie mistake. Throw that thing in the garbage disposal and then turn it on. Hang on. And you know what kills me? I hate that Lorena Bobbit is, you know, cast as, oh, this psycho woman who just cut off her husband's thing. When in reality, she was a victim of abuse. Her husband was abusive and assaulted her, you know, a lot of times. And men, like, twisted the story around, like, oh, she said he didn't satisfy her physically or whatever. No, she said he was abusive and she solved the problem. Let me tell you, I'm all about a solution to problems. But it was the early 90s, so of course they didn't take that seriously. Listen, you gotta do what you gotta do, Hamaya. Oh, I definitely condone violence. There's no violence, it's just self-defense, babe. If they want to put their hands on somebody, you gotta let them know you're not the one. I always loved that. Remember back in the day, like they used to have, well, I mean, they still have Teen Vogue, but they used to have that, it wasn't Cosmo, some kind of other young woman's magazine. And I'll never forget, they used to have a section called like Two Sides of the Issue. And one of them was about self-defense or this like gun safety. Can I say that on here? We'll find out. Pew pew safety. Anyway, I'll never forget, as long as I'm alive, the split section on that, because I agreed with both sides. So the anti-side was about a twin, whose twin sister was unalived at a party because guys were, you know, playing around with a pew-pew they found. And I was like so heartbroken because I'm a twin. And I was like, I'd be so sad if that happened to me. But the other one was about a girl who was at a party and a guy tried to assault her and she pulled out a pew-pew and changed his life. And I was like, oh my God, they both have such good arguments. Which one to go with? I said, boy, she gave him something he did not expect. 10 out of 10. Not a geoduck. I hate y'all. Gooey duck. I hate y'all. Yes, Kelp, the problem seems to be men in both times. Yes, both accounts. Yes, Groove Parlor. I learned about that by reading, what's his name? Ron Jeremy's biography. That was actually rather sad. She's talking about how Lorena Bobbitt's ex-husband was a porn star for a brief time. There's so many of those novelty acts, which just goes to show you men can do anything. I used to always say that, and I found it to be true. Because I don't know if you know this. Not only was he a corn star, so he starred in the movie, it's like Lorena Bobbitt something. There's a corn version. Anyway, he married his co-star. They fell in love and they got married. But Ron Jeremy talked about how mangled the guy was below the belt. That's how I learned about the fact that the doctors were able to sew it back on. So this is a real thing that happened, guys. Pay attention. Lorena Bobbitt's husband was, according to her, abusive and did all sorts of horrible things with his appendage. So she cut it off. Good for you, ma'am. And threw it in like, I think it was like a Subway grate, something like that. Anyways, they conduct a manhunt. They find the thing. They reattach it. Are you guys ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? They sewed it on wrong. They sewed it on wrong, and it was not functional. So they detached it and they re-sewed it on. How do I know this? Because I read Ron Jeremy's biography. Ron Jeremy's obviously a very famous corn star, and he talked about working with this guy. I don't know if they had him there to like help coach the guy or what. But anyway, he was there. He was on set, and he said the guy was very ashamed of his equipment because it looked like what it had been through. And yet his co-star, who was apparently, by all accounts, a very beautiful woman, fell, quote, in love with him, and they got married. Women need to start having such low standards, because I could never imagine a woman who was mangled like that, who couldn't even, because, Ron Jeremy has no reason to lie on this man, said he could not even, perform in the aspect he had been hired to perform in, if you get my drift. Let me see. Homeboy got mangled in the early 90s. I believe this was before the advent of Viagra. So he had to use a pump. I have many questions for the new wife. Yes, unthinkable levels of burdensome classical monster. You're so right. Well, Kelp, all they care about is what's below the belt. It's so true. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that scene in Before Midnight, but I think that is so accurate. So they're sitting around and they're like, okay, a woman says, my mother worked as a trauma nurse for years. And she's like, she would be there as the person who people who were in comas would wake up to. And she's like, sometimes people are waking up after years or months, and without fail, it happened like this. The women would all wake up and say, oh my God, oh, how long I've been out? Are my kids okay? Was anybody hurt in the accident? What's going on with life? And it didn't matter if the men had been out for years. They would all wake up and they would look down and see if their, what, was injured in the accident. Is it still here? Is it okay? Oh, and only once they find out their Johnson was fine did they start caring about their wife and their children and people who might have been hurt because of their bad driving. Now that's a, fictional scene from a movie, but I think that is pretty much an accurate representation of those creatures and how they function mentally. Peanut King said, I know it's painful and good. Girl, actually, let me go. I bet I can find my copy of that biography if I look for a good minute. Because I tend to keep my books in pretty good order. And I want to bust it out and just read to y'all what he said about that man's thing. Because I'm scarred for life. He said it was stitched, child. He said something about Frankenstein's monster. I was like, ooh, child. Ooh, girl. Let me tell you. I read those pages and I went back and I read them again. Because I said, ooh, girl. I said, Lorena did her big one. Not gonna lie to you. Kel said, cucumbers are already scary when they're not Frankenstein together. I can't even imagine. And honestly, I mean, the 90s, it wasn't like it was the dark ages of medicine or anything, but it's not now. Absolutely right, Classic Monster. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. How does Lorraine even make this pic? I don't know all that, honey. That's not in my purview. Hamaya, I do question the new wife. I don't even know why you want to be associated with that thing, but I mean, she did meet him doing corn, so the standard, it wasn't that high. Sometimes I wonder. I looked that up, Scully Bear. I wonder if they're still together too. Do I have a universe time is not right? I think you're in charge of your own destiny. Well, thank you, Mariah. Oh, I forget I have to read the comments here because y'all can't see them. She said she's a big fan. She loves the content. Did I see the demographic Uber driver? No, child. I don't watch them in their foolishness. Good. Did I hear that Swiss Beats got outside baby on Alicia Keys allegedly? No, but good. Good. Goody gumdrop. These women have got to stop thinking that they are bigger than the program. But her and Adrian have the same affliction. Only Adrian's is worse because it's exacerbated by anti-blackness. But yeah, they thought that they were so special. Oh, he couldn't do that to me. I am light-skinned. Well, now look. Oh, Lord Jesus. Scully Bear said, I don't think they are, because in a documentary they meet up with him, sad and shrunk, and he was hoping that he and Lorena could get back together. Oh, that's funny. Men are insane. Did I know Alicia Keys and all that society? I think I did hear something to that effect. But she's got just that energy. She has the energy of pick-me-ism. Miss No Makeup. Oh, so true, Gabby P. So true. Alicia's mother is, that is very factual. Oh, I have a whole video on that, Boho Geek. I don't feel bad for Angelina, even slightly. You know, if you all would leave these people's husbands alone, you wouldn't have to know all into why they're going through what they're going through. Let me go find my charger. You know what reminds me of? Tales from the Crypt. I had a whole theory around that when I was younger. So on Tales from the Crypt, there would always be a person who thought they were really going through it. Oh, they'd be so miserable in their life. And then they would see somebody who had what they thought they wanted. And they always had an opportunity to leave that person alone. And they never did it. They always tried to take what they thought that person had that they wanted. It's a little convoluted, like, so I'll just do one of my favorite episodes. No, it's not Well Cooked Hams. It's I forget the name, but it's with John Lovitz. I'll never forget the episode because we were actually reading Hamlet in school when I saw this episode. I've never forgotten it. So John Lovitz, y'all know John Lovitz. He's that weird looking guy from the 90s with the funny voice, but he got a lot of play back then. And he plays a guy in Tales from the Crypt who wants to be an actor, but because he's short and not that attractive and fat and everything like that, he's having a hard time. And his roommate is this super tall, blonde guy, and like he's getting all the roles that John Lovitz wants, right? So John is like getting kicked out of his place because he can't pay the rent, and he's just having a really hard time in life. And he's like, man, I'm just gonna go apply for this Shakespeare role because Shakespeare takes real dramatic acting. I am gonna get this role. And his roommate says, okay, bet. And he goes and applies for the role too. And as soon as the director sees the blondie, he's like, oh my God, are you Danish? Like, what kind of heritage do you have? I think you're just so perfect for the role. You should read for the role, like, you're my guy. And John Lovett's like, wait, about me? You said you love my reading. And the guy's like, man, if you don't get on somewhere, go away. And John Lovett's character is like, okay, bet. And so the other guy, the blonde guy, gets the role. And John Lovitz hides in his dressing room and unalives him because he's so frustrated with this guy getting everything that he wants in life. And he's like, I'm finally going to win. I'm going to win. Well, guess what? Because it's Tales from the Crypt, they did not want the guy to play Hamlet. They wanted him to play Yorick. Those who are familiar with the play Hamlet know Yorick is a skull. It's a skull that Hamlet discovers in the graveyard, and the guy's been dead for like 20 years. So, yeah, they just wanted his skull. So, of course, when John Lovitz goes to play the role, they cut his head off because it's Tales from the Crypt. The point is, oftentimes you're envious of somebody and you don't know what you're envious of. Yes, alas, poor Yorick, exactly. There's such a profusion of great Yorick episodes on TV shows in the 90s. I love that episode. I love Death Trap on Frasier, on Frasier. Oh my God. That's like my favorite episode of Frasier. I love, love, love Death Trap. Yorick is my everything. But anyways, when women think, ooh, that woman has what I want, and they go and they get with the girl's man, they never realize, first of all, it's like you're tainting an experiment. By involving yourself in it, fundamentally, you change the nature of the experiment. And then, if you can steal a man, quote unquote, if you can get with a guy who's taken, you didn't want him, okay? There are only two options. Either he's a great, honorable guy and you're not going to be able to get him, or you can get him and he's not who you thought. So either way, you don't want him. So yeah, she gonna get what she... Anytime a woman publicly gets with a man who was taken or married or whatever like that, all you have to do is wait. It might take 1 year, it might take 10, but it's always going to have a very unhappy ending. And Angelina Jolie is just the proof of that. But any of them, Julia Roberts, Angelina, honestly, homegirl who I love so good from Law and Order. What is her name? Carrie Lowell, and Richard Gere. Misery is coming, just as sure as death and taxes. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, all you have to do is wait. Mackenzie said they never believe fat meat is greasy. They don't, but one thing about me, I don't have to get wet to know it's raining. Yes, Peanut King, because every woman who engages in that thinks that they are above the rules. They think that they are so beautiful, so special, so whatever, that it will never happen to them. And honestly, I I can only understand it from my own point of view as a woman, but when I tell you Papa Rex really put me on mentally, back when Angelina had her whole I won't say cancer scare because I don't know that she actually ever had cancer, but I know that she had pretty severe markers and she got the double mastectomy. When she went through that, my father said, "It's happening." I said, "Tell me more." He said, so the mysteriousness, the allure, the sexuality, all of these are big parts of what drew Brad to Angelina. And now, um, you know, he is on the world stage as she's going through this major trauma. And, she's sick, she's undergoing her surgeries and everything like that. And she must be extra stressed at his reaction. Because, a guy like that, I mean, let's remember, he left Jennifer Aniston when she was in perfect health and youth. What do you think he was doing when this woman was going through it? And they had all these children and whatnot. Like, she had to be down bad. And I was like, I never thought about it like that. He's like, oh, yes. And she's like, and he said, and she can't even tell the world how she's suffering because, she so publicly got with this married man. I said, girl, you ain't even lie. You ain't even lie, child. I said, well, Brad surely did not want all them kids. Now that's for true. Group probably said Brad saying cucumbers all over town. I love how we've all decided on cucumbers. Uh, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I always think about what he wrote, before they had their big rocky public period. He talked about her losing all of this weight before she was sick, losing all this weight, being stressed out and everything like that. And he was like, "Oh, I started to give her attention and she began to gain weight again and she began to bloom like a flower." But I was like, if you go back and you look at her work during their marriage, you do see that. You do see lots of weight loss, lots of periods where she's looking very anxious and stressed. So it seems like the whole relationship has just been a misery to her. Like, there have been some good times, but yikes. It's been vastly outweighed by the other stuff. Wasn't there overlap between Carrie and Cindy Crawford? And he lived with somebody between Cindy Crawford and when he married Carrie. The whole thing was just a big mess. And she gave a perfectly good career fooling up with him. I mean, he'd already had Hollywood royalty. He'd been with Paltrow, he'd been with Aniston, he'd been with anybody and everybody. He's just another, honestly, another Destiny swapper. What's funny is people are always comparing him to Clooney, saying, "Oh, he wanted Clooney's career. He wanted to be like considered more Oscar worthy and not just action films and everything." But to be honest, neither one of them ever impressed me much in the acting department. Is he well mentally? Mackenzie said that I see Leo DiCaprio talking about how it's okay for him to date young women because mentally he's only 30. Is he well? So something is the matter with him. No, it's not inheritable. It's what do you call it? Environment. Peanut King said, did I think being a side chick is inheritable because Angelina's mom or grandma were they also that way? No, it's definitely environment. Like I have known women who were the daughters of affairs. Like literally, they came to be because their mother was a side chick, and they also engaged in that behavior because they grew up in an environment where not only was it socially acceptable, it was laudable. Like a lot of women, they think it is some kind of feat to be able to get the ungettable guy or get with a guy who's taken or something like that. And yeah, a girl I knew who was the daughter of an affair, she only ever wanted a dude who was taken. It was just so weird and gross. Like she never liked a single man in her life. She's like single ick. And even a guy who she was crazy for, if he became single, over it. But the more taken a guy was, and like he had to be taken. He couldn't just be, oh, maybe he's talking to somebody. Like, nah, he had to be up with somebody real good. The last I spoke to her, she was talking to some guy who had a pregnant fiance. I was like, no, thank you. Did she often get beaten up? Not to my knowledge, Peanut King, although she was threatened with a restraining order once. Yeah, Jada. It's a generational mentality. I don't know how much of a curse it is. It's a choice. It's a choice. I mean, look at Camilla. That's how she came on to King Charles. That didn't even sound right. I'm going back to saying Prince Charles. I will never acknowledge this. That's how she got Prince Charles. Oh, my my great grandmother or whatever, my grandmother was your great grandfather's mistress. So how about it? Like, generations of horse. Just side chickdom as an environment. Boho Geek says Joe Jackson, Michael's father, had another daughter outside his marriage to Catherine. He was with the sister wife for 23 years. Yeah, yeah. Yes, that's true. Camilla was already with him before he got with Diana. But Camilla, the point is how she approached him. Our ancestors had an affair, so you want to have one too. She didn't approach as a girlfriend. She didn't approach as a, partner, even though she herself was single at the time. I didn't know anything about that. Someone says the canceled series about side chicks bragging about betting and dating married men that was removed due to pushback. I hadn't heard about that, but I'm not surprised. I mean, did you see the woman? What was that series called? The Other Woman and the Wife, or the other woman turns into the wife, or something else stupid. But y'all know who I mean. She was on TikTok, and that was her whole shtick, talking about how she had an affair with her now husband and all the drama and how you two can go from being a side chick from to living happily ever after. And these people are always so miserable, but trying to convince you that they're so happy. Like that man, he looked so unhappy in all the videos. And then I don't I don't remember the legal aspects of it. Long story short, as I understand it from the newspaper, she had some kind of private group where people would talk about their ongoing affairs. Somebody went in the group acting like they were sympathetic, screenshot all the tea, and put it up for the whole wide world to see. And then they found some kind of timeline that disagreed with what the main girl was saying, just proving more stuff about her affair with the husband. And then the woman who was running the group got sued. And that's all I remember. Isn't just ABC Scandal? Let me watch that instead. I love myself some Scandal. I do. I finally got to season 7 of the rewatch. I think season 7 is so misunderstood. And women, everybody's talking about black women in the workplace right now, what black women need to be doing, whatever. You need to watch season 7, at least the first half. Because then you'll know. You'll know what to do. You'll know what's going on. You won't have the same problems that you've had in the past. The demographics were celebrating the day Camilla ascended to queen. Maybe. I don't know. I didn't see them do that. Shonda is a queen. Shonda is a queen. And again, if you want to know how to navigate in the workplace, look at Shonda Rhimes. A fun fact, you all may not know this. She wrote the screenplay for Princess Diaries 2. So you can only, I'll come back and explain that in a minute, but you can only ever have a TV show about politics with a Republican president. It doesn't make sense otherwise. Like, look at West Wing, Like, look at every serious political drama. It's almost always about a Republican president. There might be Democratic characters, like David Rosen was the Democratic Attorney General, or you might have a Democratic second command, like on House of Cards. But it doesn't really, it can't go anywhere if you have a Democratic president. And I say this as a, lifelong Democrat. But think about it. There's no back and forth. Well, he became president, Camille, but remember, he started out on thingy. He started out as not the president. He started out as just a senator. And the person in charge wasn't a Democrat. But back to what I was doing. There's no back and forth. If you have a Democrat as the leader, there can be no political tension around what things to support and what things to not support. Remember, Fitz is a Democrat really in name only, and Melly too. Because aside from Melly's support of guns, what other real Republican stances do you see her take? None. Melly filibustered for Planned where was I? Oh, yes. So, and then Fitz supports the Brandon bill, about the black teenager, um Brandon Parker getting unalived. So he's supporting greater oversight for law enforcement. He is for gun control. He went out for equal pay. He has all these stances, and it creates a lot of tension because he's ostensibly a Republican president. If he's a Democratic president, where's the tension? So having a supposedly Republican president on these shows is it's a gateway for them to have all these Democratic stances and then say, I am progressive. But if you have a Democratic president, what is there to be progressive about? Nothing. And that's honestly, if you ask me, why House of Cards is very boring in the later seasons, because there's nothing to argue about. And then it's just so blasé. Like, all of the tension of, I would say, season 4 on of House of Cards was relying on stuff that would actually never happen in real life. And it's fine to have an unrealistic drama about politics, but if you're going to establish that, you got to establish that in season 1. Season 1 was so realistic until it was boring. So you can't just turn around and then change up and have all this crazy stuff happen in season 4, which is why, to me, House of Cards didn't work. But that's just me. And yeah, I thought that was such a good whatever that Fitz was from California. It put me in the mind of Schwarzenegger. I was like, this is just so accurate because you have somebody who's surfacely a Republican, kind of like Newsom. On the surface, you're a Republican, but you got all these progressive stances. You take up for all these causes. You're at odds with your own party 90% of the time. Like, it was just, he was literally just Republican in name only for the drama. Because if he's a Democrat, him being with Liv is not really that scandalous. You know, if he's a Democrat, what are his stances going to be? It's going to be boring. And then, yeah, you can't have all of that nice inter-office tension between Abby and Liz North and Cyrus's whole identity. You don't get that whole thing because that was a whole great thing with him being a closeted late in life um guy who came out as gay, as a Republican, and then as a leader in the party. Like, it really ate. Isn't it unrealistic for a progressive Republican to be elected in the first place? I mean, it's a TV show about politics. The whole thing's gonna be unrealistic. And they can never, that's the other thing too. If you look at the popular political dramas outside of 24, which wasn't really about politics, the people aren't real. Like, Jed is not real. Jed would never be elected. Yes, Gabby. What was that fool's name? Wyatt? I did not like him. Yes, we all wish Kamala won. Beep. Beep. You know, for all that Beep is supposed to be a comedy, I don't like it because it's so realistic. Cyrus's age gap relationship disgusts me, says Peanut King. I don't care, actually, because he's a man. I don't care because he's a man. I only have a couple of thoughts about Cyrus's relationships. First of all, that Michael was gorgeous. He was way too good for Cyrus. That Michael, oh my God. First of all, it is so amazing to go back in Scandal history and see how many fine men were on that show. Because you'd be forgetting. Like, oh, I have a new theory about that. Nubia says his poor black adopted daughter. I have been mad for 10 years they adopted a black daughter. And it just hit me on my rewatch. I was like, wow, they literally adopted a black child for one scene in this show. It's the scene of the girl, I forgot her name, getting baptized. You know, Fitz is the godfather, Olivia Pope is the godmother. So they're standing over there as the baby gets baptized in a little font. And I was like, that's why, that's literally why this black child exists in the Scandal universe for this scene, because Olivia and Fitz standing over the baby at the baptismal font, it looks like their parents. It looks like that's their child. That's it. Cyrus went hard on Liv, and then then he was shocked. He disgusted. Said when Jake pulled a him on him. I think there are words missing from that sentence. I don't quite get that. I will say Cyrus had a nerve. Cyrus had a nerve acting like he was so distraught by James's death when he actually had to tried to have James killed. Like, sir, how you acting brand new? How you laying down and fronting like this is a new life when you literally try to have him killed? Like, yeah, he's walking around crying for a season. Oh, I lost the love of my life. Oh. And then he got mad at Melly for being like, oh, the loss of my son is greater than the loss of your husband. Like, and to be fair, it's not like Melly said that unprovoked. She was just telling Cyrus, it's not the same. We're not the same. Like, I lost a child. And he's like, I'm actually doing a whole video on that classical monster because he didn't love it. Like, we're gonna have a whole thing because he talked about that a lot. Cyrus, I think everybody on the show only had one talking point. Olivia, standing in the sun in white hats. Fitz, Vermont, and I gave everything to this country and I hate my job. Cyrus, oh how I love Fitz. Cyrus talked about how he loved Fitz and Fitz was, his great love 24/7. But it's actually not true. And I'll be discussing that later. But where was I? I was saying something about Cyrus. Oh yeah, Cyrus went around whining. I lost the love of my life, and then when Melly was like, "Oh, I lost a child. It's not the same thing. We're not the same." He was like, "Oh, it's cruelty to compare loss. Oh, I lost somebody. You literally tried to have him killed. It's not the same. It's not the same." I was like, it's crazy. Like, literally, you were going to have Charlie take this man out. You just changed your mind. But I don't think a parent, a normal one who loved their child, would ever even consider doing that to their child. Like, the fact that you ever even considered it doesn't matter. You didn't go through it. You didn't just consider it. This was an option you were exploring for a long time. And then you had the unparalleled nerve to front like you were so upset when Jake unalived James when you paid Charlie to unalive James. I'm like, it's crazy. People want to get an attitude when you do for free, but you paid them to do. I disagree. Cyrus is actually a great character. First of all, I have forgotten his real name, but that man is a great character actor. I can always spot who's going to be great. And I actually saw him on an episode of Frasier. He's in War of the Words. He's playing the parent in the spelling bee. And I said, he's going to be great. And I was right. I saw Viola in an episode of Criminal Intent, Season 1, Badge, Episode 20, going toe-to-toe with Vincent D'Onofrio. I said, she's going to be great. And she was. Yes, Jeff Perry, that's right. Yeah, years ago, I saw him and stuff. I said, this man's going to be a tremendous actor one day. And he absolutely is. He's a character guy. You know who's like that? Another person's name I forgot. Oh no, I William McDaniels, I think his name is. He plays Feeney. He is in an episode of Frasier. Season 1. No, season 2, when Frasier and Roz are nominated for their first CB. He doesn't speak. And yet he still conveys so much. I was like, this guy, he's meant to be a great actor. Yep, I did watch How to Get Away with Murder. But yeah, even his little short stint as Thatcher on Grey's Anatomy, you could tell he was going to be somebody. And I think Shonda saw the potential, but she didn't want to give him a larger role on Grey's because it was just going to upset the equilibrium. So she put him on there. And you know what about Shonda? She doesn't care. Shonda does not care. Shonda does not give one fucks, two fucks, red fucks, blue fucks. Shonda's like, you're a major character on Grey's Anatomy. And what's her name? Sally Langston. Sally Langston is literally Ellis Gray, and she's like, whatever. And then she took Amanda and made her Bonnie. Like, homegirl was like, they're in my universe. They are who they say I am. Like, I just love it. I love it. Sean is already for the smoke. Yes, and I love it. And then what's her name? Meredith's sister. she was on Scandal. And she just migrated over there. She got unalived and she just migrated right on over to Grey's. What's that girl's name? War of the Words. War of the Words. I think it's season 9. It's about the Scripps National Spelling Bee. Yeah. Normally, I don't like the Freddie episodes, but that was actually quite an interesting one. God, I gotta start watching that. I definitely want to be the next Shonda. I definitely want to work with Shonda. Shonda, if you see this girl, hey, I have great ideas and scripts. Holla at me. And that's how you know Shonda is great. The demographics hate her. Keep on. If you don't want to be able to talk on here, talk. Say more things. Talk on her. I'm trying to grow this year, but people just don't want to let me be a nice person. They did hate Scandal. And I mean, I have to say, they're always going to find a reason to be hateful when you're great. Yes, Castle Monster, please, all y'all join together and manifest. Because I just have so many ideas. I've tried to break into it. I mean, trying is a little strong. I've thought about breaking into it. But that's what I want to do. That is what I want to do. Yes, I love that she stepped on Isaiah and her quest for greatness. What a brilliant woman. You made the right decision. Yes, Isaiah Washington. I do write fiction. Oh Lord, if that's the first step, I'm gonna keep on not stepping. I'm not moving to LA. I visited LA and I've never been so disoriented in all my life. And I grew up in a major city. I've only ever lived in major cities, but that is not the way. Because she's not centered on them, Gabby. They hate anyone who's not centered on them. See, and the thing is, this is very important for you all to notate. So write this down. The demographics, I hate to say intelligent, they have a sixth sense. You see, a lot of women in the world are saying the right things and appearing to do the right things, but the demographics still know that those women are male-centered. They took one look at Shonda and they said, this woman is not faking the funk. And here is how they know this. First of all, a lot of men try to, use what she writes as whatever. That has nothing to do with anything. There are a lot of women who write like the most empowering things and they're big pygmies. It's the way she lives her life. Shonda does what a lot of these women talk about but never actually do. These women who are like, oh my God, what if I just want a baby or whatever to justify their poor choices. Shonda actually wanted children. You know how I know? She adopted some and went on about her business. Observe. And then she centered, let's pause there. She adopted some girls. My God, know something. And then she simultaneously uplifted and centered her girls while pursuing her dreams. Peep it. So the men take one look at her and they see a life where young black girls are being uplifted. They're being told you deserve everything, And they see a mother making her dreams come true. And they don't see a man anywhere in the offing. They don't see a man benefiting. They don't see a man getting any succor. And they say, here's a woman who's actually decentered men. And so they hate her. Yeah, she's a great example. A tremendous example to all the young women out there. I hope they follow her. That's definitely a part of it. They do hate that, she does right. The thing is, but it doesn't so much matter. Her original series, like Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder, did have black women in interracial relationships. But if you look at the totality of her work, there are probably way more black men with white women. I mean, Grey's Anatomy alone, you have April and Jackson. Blech, I fucking hate that relationship. And then you have Ellis and Richard. Okay, so let's count. April and Jackson, Ellis and Richard. That's 2 black man, white woman, interracial couples. Name some more, guys. It's been forever since I watched Grey's. I'm trying to think. There's probably 1,000,001 of people talking about they haven't watched Grey's. Jackson, life imitating art, literally, which is why you never uplift men, particularly the demographics. Burke and Yang, you know what? I'll allow it. Even though it's not white, it's definitely a black man and an interracial couple. Yes, very good. Burke and Yang. So that's 3. And conversely, I can't think of a black woman, white male couple on Grey's. There might have been one, and I don't count seasons past 20, because to me, no. Elijah, this would be who? Oh yeah, they're at 20 plus now. I'm so proud of her. She's surpassed ER as the longest running medical drama. I knew that's what she was gonna go for, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy she made it. Oh, my queen. 300 plus episodes. Goddess. Go forth, girl. You're doing amazing. We support you. But anyway, that's just 3 off rip on Grey's. And if I thought about it some more, I could come up with some more black man interracial couples from Grey's. But also look at all the shows individually. Scandal, what's his name, and Melly. That's another interracial, couple for the black man. And then Marcus and the mayor's wife. That's another one, 2. Um, what's his name? The one who got kicked off. Columbus Short and Adnan Salif, 3. Um, let me think. I know there are more. That's just a gleaning. That's all I can come up with from Scandal, but I haven't even sat and thought about it for, a minute and a half. Thank you. I was going to say Bridgerton, Simon and Daphne, season 1. It's all about Mr. Man trying to get with the diamond of the season, the most basic white woman ever to white, but here we are. So that's 6 or 7 black male interracial couples on Shonda's shows versus a couple of very prominent black women in interracial couples. Well, we were actually doing the reverse. So Queen Charlotte would be the other way around. But, yeah. The black man and Nelly. What black man? Yeah, so like to say, oh, they hate her so bad because she always has the black woman with white men. It's actually not accurate. I think Shonda's. I think Shonda's independent. Shonda's an independent thinker. She's a very, very smart woman, and all of her work shows she knows how to write, to engage mainstream audiences. You know, not just engage, captivate. I mean, my God, Bridgerton was number one on Netflix forever. A Scandal was the number one show in its time slot, only later to be replaced by How to Get Away with Murder. And of course, Grace had been number one in the time slot before. Remember when Thursday nights were like, thank God it's Thursday, it was all Shondaland? Like, Shonda's a queen. What? That must be a different Marcus. That must be a that must be some other kind of Marcus, because the Marcus on Scandal liked women. So I don't know who this is. I love Shonda. Shonda's great. Shonda's are everything. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it. Oh God, it's 6:40. I thought I was gonna have so much more done by now. Um, although, yeah, yeah. Actually, okay. Y'all sit tight. I'm gonna take a 2-minute break, have a sip of water, and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna cook out the rest of the ground turkey, and we're going to portion it, and then yeah. All right. So go sit. I did go to the Bridgerton costume ball. I had such a good time. My clothing was not accurate because I had a friend give me a ticket as a birthday gift, and I literally found out, like, I don't know, very shortly beforehand. And I was like, "Oh my God." I just had to do what I could. I actually ended up wearing like a square-necked ball gown, and then I put uh, a sheer shirt underneath it, so it wouldn't be too like revealing and not period appropriate. But so many people didn't even bother with the costume. I had so much fun. I had so much. Oh my God, the bowing, the costuming, the thing. Actually, the girl who won Diamond of the Season at my night was completely. I mean, she looked beautiful. She was a very gorgeous girl, but there was not an attempt at like a period costume. She had on a very modern short gown. It did eat. I'm all for her. So I had a great time. Yeah, I didn't go to the sham version. I went to the real one. So you all sit. I think I'm good. I'm good that we've been sitting at because the phone needed a chance to charge. I needed a chance to rest. So that all worked out. Where are my scissors? Not that was in Detroit. The scam was in Detroit. Nope. I have not watched BoJack Horseman. Ow. Don't you hate when you get a broken nail and it just breaks so far down the nail bed? Like, geez, I have been trying. I've cut this thing down as far as I can, and it still won't act right. I don't know what else to do. All right, people, you can ask your questions. Oh, that's only 44. Y'all are cycling in and out. Oh, I'm okay. I don't like shows like that. don't like most adult animation. It's very lazy, and a lot of it is just men conveying, well, they're stupid points as well, but very what do I want to say? Well, usually racist and sexist talking points that they convey in a way that they think it's like, oh my god, so edgy and so cool. It's just beyond aggravating. Nope, I haven't seen any of that. Yeah, all those shows guys are so enamored of. Archer and Rick and Morty. Oh, ugh. Ugh, don't even get me started on the Boondocks. That Aaron Magruder, cool number one. Honestly. And you go run and tell them I said I don't care. Yeah. Oh, and I feel like I have a unique perspective because I have been following the Boondocks since it was in the newspaper. I read the comics daily. I've read all the books and whatnot. Like, it's so mad. Again, he thought he was like the edge lord of edge lords back in the day. And he always had something slick to say about Whoopi Goldberg, Queen Latifah, Condoleezza Rice, all while letting all the black men of the world get away with murder. The Tyler Perry episode did eat. I have nothing to say. But again, it puts me in a minor red wall. Evil slew evil and good triumphed. Of course, there's nobody who can ream out a demographic like another demographic. But how did he ream him out? You know, by hitting on his tender spots. But at the end of the day, he can never say anything real without touching too close to himself. That's why the Ebony Brown episode is such a flop. You know, he tries to mock the idea um that he has never supported black women and like tries to sort of call himself out in a lighthearted joking way. It completely fails because the episode has no real roots. Like, it does nothing to solve the major issue of the show. So yeah, anytime he's calling out black men on their hypocrisy, the show is great. The whole gangsterlicious thing and whatever, very, very funny. But anytime it tries to do anything real, it utterly fails. When it's all black men, fun, fun, fun in the sun, funny and incisive. The Booty Warrior episode, great. Actually, most of season 3 was very good. The hustling episode, like the candy episode, that was a failure. But that was just because it didn't really make sense. But everything else was great. The smoking with cigarettes, very funny. Funny, but also very incisive. The whole Jason aspect, or was it Michael Myers? Michael Myers, I think. It's terrific, terrific. Magruder is smart, He's smart. He's a talented animator. He's got good ideas, but as a self-hating Negro, the stuff is never really gonna come off. And I talked about this before. I talked about it. I got a video on YouTube that addresses it. It's the episode where or not the episode rather. He talks about how the episode of Tom's wife being so hype, I think it was over Usher, was based on a real story. It was, I think, one of the producers of the show went out with his then significant other and somebody else who worked on the show, might have been Aaron Magruder, and whoever he was partnered with, and they saw Usher, and the girl went crazy over Usher, and being her partner, whatever. Those episodes don't come off because, first of all, you're just trying to grind your personal axe. And your hatred of Black women is so obvious and palpable. It makes everything else you try to say about the race and what we ought to be doing, it just makes it so damn ridiculous. You look like an idiot. And then all the good work of season 3 is undone by the color ruckus because, again, you're a self-hater. So yeah, I have never really cheered for that show. Even the comic strip, it was up and it was down. When I was a girl, I thought Riley was very funny. I've been out here with y'all forever and 2 days, and not that much cooking has been accomplished. And my throat is tired. I'm gonna take a rest. I'll be back on later. Finish cooking the rest of this ground turkey because it's got to get done. But I'm definitely going to rest for a bit. So I'll holler at y'all. It's been great. It's been good. Thank you, Doodler. Yeah, it's been good. It's been real. Peace out. I'll holler at y'all later.